who's going first here. I asked Coach about three-point shooting and improving the efficiency. Obviously, it's a priority for the offensive scheme. As the three of you, as leaders of the team, kind of look at what you can do to help encourage that locker room, hey, we all need to make this a priority. I mean, even if you're the primary screener, we need good screen set to open those shots up. What are you all doing to really try to encourage that part of the game to get bigger and better?
So we all know what it takes personally as we've been here in the program. So just trying to instill the same thing into the people that are just now getting here. But just knowing, like, we need people to knock down shots in game. And if you want to play in game, then that's what you have to do. You got to be able to knock down the open ones.
And I think it's about, like, knowing the shot you're taking, like, big advantage. We're not, just shooting to shoot. You're shooting because you're open. You're shooting because you're confident. So just taking the right shot, that's big too.
It's kind of like, I guess, like, instilling, like, in the newcomers and, like, kind of the returners coming back, like, what technically is, like, a good three-point shot. Like, if it's open, if, like, it's off of a good pass, off of a good screen, just, like, kind of making sure that everybody kind of knows what, like, is considered a good three-point shot.
And then let's kind of switch gears. Let's talk about rebounding a little bit. You've got over 200 rebounds from last year's team that doesn't return. Just looking at it, and I guess I could have asked Angel this question as well, it looks like you guys are probably going to rely on sort of a group effort, everybody to the glass kind of thing. Talk about making that a priority, because it's not one of the sexier parts of the game until it's winning time and you're trying to clear the glass. What's been the focus from among the team about everybody getting to the boards?
It's definitely been big. We actually, when we count stats in practice, it's not even about scoring. It's about the little things, the details, like boxing out boards. We'll have certain drills where we specifically focus on boxing out. If you don't box out, you're off. And it's just like focusing on those little things so that it just comes to us naturally when we are playing and not necessarily as focused on those as we are as scoring points.
Yeah, and we know we're a lot smaller this year, so our goal isn't, like, we know we're not going to get every board, but we know that if we do our job individually, like, 9 times out of 10, we will come up with that board. So hitting first, doing what we have to do, being physical, that's really been our main focus. Like, we have this thing where it's like dog mentality. Like, it don't matter about the size of the dog. Like, it matters about the heart. So just having that heart, being physical, and really attacking the boards.
And it's kind of like, even if, like, I mean, obviously you're not going to get every single rebound in a game. Like, things happen, the other team gets the rebounds, like all that. But I think what we're really focusing on is as, like, you're making the effort to do your job. So, like, at the end of the day, if you check, like, you go hit and, like, let's say the ball just doesn't roll right or just doesn't bounce right and, like, you're just not in the right spot, as long as you did your job to, like, make it difficult for them to get the board or possibly just, like, take your player out so, like, another one of your teammates could come in and get the board. Like, it's really, like, the details of it, like, the little stuff. Like, we just got to make sure that we continue to do that.
As the leadership group of the team, the idea is that the culture stays the same, but I don't care how many players you've got coming back. Anything new changes the dynamic in the locker room. As the three of you have kind of assessed where you are as a group collectively, how do you feel like you're trying to impart the right culture, even with some new dynamics among the team?
By carrying the standard. Like, we have a standard, and we know what the standard is and where we want to be. And each of us have to do our own individual part to be that example, to on and off the court, going to class on time, sitting in the first 2 rows, to getting the shot prep or stretching, whatever we need to be done, taking care of ourselves before we go into practice. Like, we are the standard, and each of us do our own, and we just hope that the newcomers are looking up to us and, like, seeing that we are doing that.
Yeah.
I mean, and then also, like, just, like, going off of that, it's kind of like, if they aren't doing something right, like, we really have to kind of step out of our comfort zone to have, like, those difficult conversations and be like, maybe like, okay, like, this is your freshman year, like, yeah, stuff may happen, but it's like, we're here to do a job. Like, Coach Angel gave us the opportunity to come here and play a sport that we all love, so it's like we have a lot on the line. So we have a lot that we need to keep up front, and like we always have the saying like the A never comes off. So like regardless of like where you are, what kind of clothes you're wearing, if you have gear on or not, like somebody's always watching like the stuff that you're doing, and everybody knows everybody in Boone. Like it's a very small town, so it's kind of like we just really got to make sure that we kind of like keep them in line, like kind of show them the right path of what they need to do, but also like we got to look out for each other at the same time.
Coach mentioned playing a lot more 5-out this year, and for you three in particular, it seems like a great fit with the slashing and shooting. And so, where is your excitement level at just regarding that new system?
I mean, it's very different from last year because I mean we don't have the size, so we have to go to a 5-out because we're a smaller lineup. But I mean, I'm kind of just like excited of how it kind of feels like it's really free play. Like it doesn't really feel like it's like very specific. So I kind of like that because it's like if something is to break down, like you have kind of the space to like make something happen, like create a shot for like yourself or your teammates.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with that. It's more of a motion play. You react off of someone else, and I think it's, you know, we always say like whatever you do is right, like whatever you say is right, as long as you're indecisive about it. And I think that's just like a very free play way of playing. You don't have to think about it too much. You just kind of play, go to the open spot, you keep moving. It's harder to defend, so I think it'll be really good for us being shooters.
Yeah, and I'm super excited as a slasher, like having that post open. It creates like a whole new world for me down there. Like it allows me to get downhill. The post defender's not there. The post offense, like my teammate's not down there. So it gives me more space to work. And then if you know there is some type of help, it gives everybody else on the perimeter more space to work as well, because that's a longer closeout for them and just things like that. So super excited for me.
And again, for all three of you, is there any particular area of your game that you've worked on heading into this season?
Me personally, I have like two things that I've been trying to work on. One is defense, especially us going into denial stance more, you know, just keeping your player in front of you. We talk about being the MIG, like the most important girl. So just keeping my man in front, that's huge. And then also attacking more. I know like shooting is kind of what I've always done, but I'm trying to add like that second layer and finishing as well.
So I really, this past offseason, I've tried, like I did a lot of work trying to develop like a mid-range game, because I am a small guard, so a lot of the times like I can like get all the way to the rim, but like I don't really have like an angle, or like the defender's just longer than me. And so I really worked this past offseason on like to develop a mid-range, so I have kind of like that little in-between of not having to go all the way. And also I feel like for me, being able to add a mid-range, like incorporate that into my game, is going to make defenders kind of not really know what I'm doing, because I feel like a lot of the times like throughout the teams and Sun Belt, since it's been like very consistent, like we haven't really had any change with teams except this year. Everybody knows that like if I come off the screen, I'm going to drive, or like if I come off the screen, like I'm going to pass. And it's like being able to develop a mid-range just kind of gave me another level to my game that like the defense will have to adjust to, and because they would have to adjust to that, it can help me create more shots for my teammates.
For me, two areas as well. The first one is just continuing to develop my shot on the three-point line, from going 2 years ago shooting 4 total to this last year to, you know, shooting more, making more, obviously. And also like my ability to pass. Like now that the rim is wide open, being able to get downhill has always been my strong suit, but being able to slow down when there is help defenders there, and able to make the right reads and make the right passes to my shooters so that they can knock down the shot.
You guys talked a little bit about it from the rebounding and three-point perspective, but maybe not just from a player perspective, but from the team perspective. How do you guys look to build upon what you guys did last year, maybe be doing the same things or doing it a little bit better?
Just the little things. Like our attention to detail has grown so much this year. We know that this year is going to be different for us, and so just staying locked in on who we want to be and how we want to do it, and just being like locked in really on the details has been like our strongest focus right now.
I'm just taking it day by day, like not worrying about the end result. Like, okay, today we're focusing on boxing out. Okay, tomorrow we're focusing on, passing the ball, whatever it may be. It's just focusing on the little things, the details, day by day, so that at the end we can just put it all together.
I mean, like, there's so many games won and lost off of, like, the little things. So, I mean, we have, like, kind of the big gist of it of, like, we want to shoot, we want to rebound, but it's, like, you have to be able to do those things, you got to be able to lock in on, like, the little things. And it's, like, with boxing out, it's, like, checking, just even see if your girl is going or, like, making sure you're hitting. It's, like, it's the little thing because we can get to, like, the tournament or, like, we can be at the top of the conference and, like, we have our last season game before going into the tournament and we want to be able to get the top seed. And, like, to be able to win, like, those gritty games, like, especially towards the end of the season, it's, like, it's going to be the little things because, like, you can score as many points as you want to score. But at the end of the day, like, you're not really going to win a game unless you kind of dig into, like the dirty stuff, kind of like the hustle plays and, like, all that little stuff. So that's really what we're trying to do because if we can get the little stuff down, everything else will just come together and it will just be so much easier and it will, like, we'll really see what all of our hard work has done at the end of the season.
Coach mentioned the in-state non-conference games and so forth that were important to this, in the scheduling process. The Sun Belt has also increased the emphasis on regional rivalries with the addition of, for example, in this area, Marshall and Old Dominion and so forth. How important is that emphasis for regional rivalries for you and maybe for your families that maybe want to come watch you play?
To us, we got to go out there and be us. So it don't really matter who we going against. We gotta lace up our shoes. They gotta lace up their shoes, and it's about, like I said earlier, that dog mentality and just going out there and handling business. But as far as the family aspect, like being able to play closer to home for majority of us, as we have a lot of people from this area, except for Brooke, Texas. But having people from this area and then being able to play people in this region is amazing. Like, App State has a fantastic fan base, especially like when we're traveling. So just being able to play in front of our fans as much as possible is always a good feeling.
Yeah, she said it.
I mean, like, going into, like, the different teams that kind of, like, were put into the Sun Belt, it made me really excited to see that, like, Old Dominion and JMU were brought into the conference because I'm from Virginia, so those schools are very, very, very close to me. And being, like, 6 hours away and, like, really only having the kind of, like, the southern states, I guess, in our conference, it's been difficult to, like, not be able to see my family as much, like, with traveling and everything, like, our schedule. So to be able to have Virginia teams brought into the conference, it's made me really excited because it gives me a chance to see my family, like, one more day than I usually can out of the year. So I'm excited for that, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's like we lace up and we're just ready to go regardless who we're standing in front of.
One question for each of you. I'll start with Janay. You've played on a bunch of different teams, both at App State and elsewhere. How would you describe the culture of this group and what makes this year's team unique?
This team is the most unique because we're the most different. Like, everybody brings something different to the team. Just like when Coach Angel was talking about the leadership council, like, each of us brings something different to the leadership council. On the court, like, you have people that's like Mo that is so defensive oriented, but at the same time she's developing her offensive game. You have Brooke, like, she's a shooter, but she's working on slashing. So to have such a diverse group of people is something that we've been working on and something that, you know, makes us the most unique this year.
Brooke, you've decided to come back for your 5th season. Just talk to us about what that decision-making process was like and what ultimately convinced you to come back for one more year.
Well, immediately when I found out that I had a COVID year, I wanted to come back. I love it here. I love the people I'm surrounded with. So there was never any doubt in my mind that I didn't want to stay here. Obviously, I wanted to take another year of playing because I love the sport. I'm trying to play as long as I can. I'm trying to play after this. Like, whatever. So there really was no doubt. It was, at the end of the day, Coach Angel's decision. I told her from the beginning, I said, I want to stay. I want to be here as long as I can. So I'd love to come back.
And then Faith, for you, you took a huge step forward from your freshman year to your sophomore year. Just the ball was in your hand a lot. You were making a lot of the plays, getting downhill into the basket. How do you springboard on that growth from freshman to sophomore year to kind of duplicate that junior to senior year, or sophomore to junior year?
I mean, it's definitely hard to like continue to make a jump throughout like your years of playing, because like sometimes like you're stuck in like kind of like this mellow zone like consistently. But I think like for me, it's kind of like been really going home and kind of like taking time to myself and like finding like little parts of my game that I want to like implement or like kind of like raise another bar in. And I mean, I don't like the jump from freshman to sophomore year was that it was a big jump, and like I don't really expect myself to do that again. Like that's such big of a jump, but I'm just kind of going into this year as like I just need to like continue to be me and like do what I need to do, because at the end of the day, if I'm able to do that, then kind of like the jump in like maybe like the stats and like stuff like the little stuff like that, like it will kind of like present itself.
Any further questions? Excellent. Thank you, ladies, and thank you for the media that is currently here and in the live stream.